What I'm asking, is there a viable self-defense argument to be made here while politicians are playing God with your body? So, all right, we got to talk about something, because there's some interesting things happening with the fallout of the Roe v. Wade decision, which, I mean, it's not a decision yet, it's a draft. We might have a decision eventually, but we've been seeing some Republicans showing their ass lately as a result. Now that the table is open for everybody to have conversations about this. And granted, they've been doing this for a while, right? Like, those conversations have been happening for a long while, irrespective of the leaked Roe document. This one specifically is from April 27th, which is a little bit before. So we'll be talking about that here in a bit. But first, let's go ahead and talk about the fan art section. We have from Axolotls with Cream, or in the server, Axo that has cream. Not done yet, but here you go. You'll know the joke when it's done. I am sure we will. Stargazer Lay also has Welcome to the Deli Tree. And then a follow-up from Smacko, The Great Deli Tree. I legitimately do not remember. I don't remember what caused the Deli Tree joke. I know I said something about the Deku Tree and accidentally said Deli Tree, but I don't remember the context. I don't remember. You adore the Great Deli Tree. And of course, we've got Puppy Nut Cheerios and Nick Milk all just here and available. Sunset City references galore. You guys should go subscribe to Sunset City, by the way, if you haven't. That's a thing you should do. But I don't remember the why. I think it was in the context of Snap. I don't. It was during the food stamp conversation. Why would I have said the Great Deli Tree? I don't remember. Oh my god. But let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on with some of the fallout from the Roe discussion now. The first video we're going to take a look at is from Representative Jean Schmidt. She is a Republican over in Ohio for District 65. Let's go ahead and take a listen here to facts and logic coming out of the politician's mouth.
Rape is a difficult issue, and it emotionally scars the individual, all or in part, for the rest of their life.
So we agree so far. Rape bad. Rape scar people. Yes. Okay.
Just as child abuse does.
Yep.
But if a baby is created...
Oh, no. Oh, no. Why is there a but? There should never be a rape is bad. But, no. We shouldn't have... That should not... No.
It is a human life. And whether that mother ends that pregnancy or not, the scars will not go away.
Right. But if you have a baby due to rape, there are legal protections given as a result of that you might not want to deal with for the rest of your life. There are cases of children that are born from rape where now the mother is intrinsically connected to the rapist and can never decouple herself from them ever because of that. So I hope rapist has to pay double child support. That is a thing that could be that is a thing that could be there, but also just letting the woman abort the baby, that could also help. I'm also distracted by the literal only existing neckbeard. Maybe I shouldn't be, but the stylistic choice there is confusing.
Period. It is a shame that it happens, but there's an opportunity for that woman, no matter how young or old she is, to make a determination about what she's going to do to help that life be a productive human being. She can choose to raise the child. She can choose to give that child to a loving family member or to give it to someone else.
So, force the child to be somebody's problem. Force that, as opposed to just letting them take care of the problem immediately, just letting them abort. Again, why should somebody have to go through all of that trauma? Why should somebody have to have something they did not consent to having in their body once with the rape and then for 9 months with the fetus? Why is that a thing we should force? This is, by the way, the exact reason why I've pointed out several times that anybody that holds the opinion that, like, people who do not have wombs should not also weigh in on the conversation where abortion is concerned. Every single person who has that opinion is blatantly incorrect, because there are prime examples of people who likely have wombs who are just as bad, just as fucking bad at this conversation. But let's continue.
And that child can grow up and be something magnificent, a wonderful family person, cure cancer, etc. This is not about keeping abortion alive. This is about keeping the mother alive. And just because you have emotional scars doesn't give you the right to take the life.
This is about keeping the mother alive. Okay. Just because you have emotional scars doesn't give you the ability to take the child. I'm sorry. I think it does. I think forcing somebody to continue to have that emotional damage for the rest of their life and to magnify it over time, I think that's far worse. Why would we force people to keep babies in cases of rape or incest? Why would we do that? I don't understand. Aside from you virtue signaling about, oh my God, look, another baby is alive. And then, of course, we've got the weird conspiracy theory nuts who find themselves going, well, is it a white baby? Okay, then we can keep it. You know, we don't want to be replaced by the brown people. Thing is, these guys don't believe emotional damage is a thing. God, imagine how emotionally damaging it would be to be a politician and have people with pitches and forks and torches outside of your house. Oh, wait, that's a thing that happens to politicians who find themselves in this debate. My God, I hope they never appeal to emotional damage when that happens. So it's entirely possible this obsession with forced birth is a direct result of economic concerns. Could be. That doesn't make it legitimate. But she's not the only one we've got to talk about today. We've also got Ben Shapiro here weighing in his big-brained opinions on this.
Meanwhile, the Democrats are really trying to push hard, particularly the Democrats in the media. So you've got ABC's Terry Moran saying that you never know what they might do next. What are they going to do next? My God, the Supreme Court, they might actually go back and overrule Loving versus Virginia and allow states to ban interracial marriage. Oh, really? That wasn't even based on the right to privacy, you idiots. That's based on the Equal Protection Clause. Wrong constitutional clause, you morons.
Okay, from what I understand, though, the Equal Protection Clause and the right to privacy are actually somewhat linked in terms of how the Constitution works. But when we're talking about the amendments anyway, secondly, it's not that they're going to overturn that because of Roe v. Wade in some cases. It's the precedent set of taking rights away from people basically through an interpretation from the justices. If they start taking rights away from people, there's not exactly a point where they have to stop, right? Also, we've literally heard politicians go, I think actually the conversation about interracial marriage should have always been a matter of states' rights. Oh, okay. So, Ben, the fact that there are literally politicians on your side of the aisle who are arguing that that miscegenation should go back to a conversation about states' rights, maybe you should listen to them before you put your foot in your mouth. Just saying.
And then they try to they might overturn Obergefell. First of all, Obergefell is a bad Supreme Court decision. And if we had a Supreme Court with itself, they would overturn Obergefell. But they're not going to.
Isn't Obergefell the decision that allowed for gay marriage? Isn't that what that is? What's miscegenation? It's race mixing. It's race mixing. I'm trying to remember what Obergefell was. Yep. Obergefell overturned Baker and requires all states to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples. Yep, because of course Ben Shapiro is still against same-sex marriage. For no good reason. He's just against it.
Explicitly say, Alito says, I think 3 separate times in that decision that I read in nearly its totality on the air yesterday, that this has no impact on other cases of different lines, which is...
Actually, so Justice Alito saying that doesn't mean shit. One, this is a drafted opinion, so that part of the draft can easily be annexed in a later part of the opinion. Secondly, it doesn't matter if they say, oh no, this doesn't affect other things. Because if they're willing to overturn rights once, there is no reason to believe they wouldn't do it again. And with that knowledge, it's very easy to go just one step further and go, oh, okay, so you saying that this is an enshrined right is bullshit. You saying that this won't get overturned because of this can also be bullshit. And of course, again, I do think it's funny in 2022, just hearing people still upset about gay marriage. It's been 7 years.
A clear reference to Obergefell repeatedly. Okay, but Democrats know that deep down in the cockles of their tiny little Grinch-like hearts on abortion, they know that the abortion issue is not a winner. So they're trying to expand it out, say, well, you never know. The Supreme Court, they might go after gay rights. They might go after. Sure, you're right. The same Supreme Court in which Neil Gorsuch idiotically ruled that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 covers transgender people is going to now overrule Obergefell. I'm sure, Terry. Go for it.
Okay, so Ben is sitting here upset that trans people have rights, upset that gay people have rights, and is then telling other people, don't get upset that women are losing rights. You shouldn't. What's that old saying? I'd imagine that Ben should be very familiar with the saying, given, nationality and everything. But isn't it first they came for the socialists? And I didn't say anything because I wasn't a socialist. Then they came, and then they came, and then there was me. And I didn't say, there was nobody left to speak for me. I feel like that kind of links in with this perfectly. First, they came for the women, and Ben Shapiro doesn't say anything because he's not a woman. He doesn't care if they come for the gay people because he's not a gay people. I'm not saying it's always going to slippery slope down, because of course that'd be fallacious, but the argument that it won't as a guarantee feels a bit naive, because the argument for the longest time was that abortion was enshrined. Many people even considered it a super precedent. But here we are, living in a world where Ben Shapiro is telling people, no. While rights are being taken away, that's not important. Don't be upset about that. Let's go ahead and take another little bit of time to talk about some other stuff here. Because Amy Coney Barrett has actually stated afterwards a few opinions about this conversation where Roe's concerned. In a brief on abortion, Amy Coney Barrett has said that the United States needs a domestic supply of infants to meet the needs of parents seeking to adopt, that those who would otherwise abort must be made to carry to term. Women and men and experiences of women and men and demand for children to adopt by women 18 through 44 years of age of the United States. Nearly 1 million women were seeking to adopt children in 2002. They were in demand for a child, whereas the domestic supply of infants relinquished at birth or within the first month of life and available to be adopted had become virtually non-existent. Which is also a lie, because there are, there's over 100,000 kids that are in the foster system right now. It's that people want to adopt babies and infants. They don't want to adopt teens and other potentially, problematic kids, when those are the people that need to be adopted. Because people who grow up in the foster care system, as fucked up as it is, have a supremely high chance of just becoming homeless, because there is no feather fall for them. There's nothing. The system's already broken right now. Why should we try to actually put in a request for a domestic supply of infants? Like, this literally, and granted, again, Amy Coney Barrett, woman having the opinion that women who aren't her specifically, should become breeding factories. That is the job of women, according to people like Amy Coney Barrett. They are here to reduce women to breeding stock and subjugate them into a type of forced labor, because the type of forced labor we're talking about is, of course, the perpetual breeding. Now, we already know that there are extremists that agree to this idea wholesale. Think of the NIFB, or literally anybody part of the Quiverful movement. This is a known concept. If somebody wants to hop into the comment section and say, nobody really thinks that, no, yet Steven Anderson and his ilk literally think that. They literally think that. And this is the world we live in, where we're having to deal with Supreme Court justices that are making decisions based on trying to get, not based on constitutionality or morality, but a awkwardly utilitarian need to increase a domestic supply of infants for, we'll go ahead and call it what it is, a for-profit industry of adoption. But okay, here we are. We do live in this timeline right now. Remember, there is no code of ethics for Supreme Court justices, by the way. Just a person. Thank you very much for redeeming your points for an owl. Some quiver for people do adopt. Well, yeah. Next, they'll say to take all the teens and orphanages out in the back like cattle or something. Probably not, because right to life and all that. Remember, they believe in negative rights at the very least. We'll grant them that. They believe in a right to be alive. They just don't agree with it to a right to be alive in a way that is fulfilling in any way, shape, or form. Now, there's more fallout from this as well that we need to talk about on top of that. Let's talk about Governor Bill Lee in Tennessee. A Republican governor signs law making abortion pills by mail a felony with a $50,000 fine. The state of Tennessee just turned back to a time before clocks, apparently. Governor Bill Lee signed a law making it a Class E felony with a $50,000 fine for anyone to get an abortion pill through the mail. According to HB 2416, abortion pills may only be given to a patient in a doctor's office by a physician. A doctor must examine the patient in person and inform the patient that the patient may see the remains of the unborn child in the process of completing the abortion. So literally telling the person who has the uterus, no, you can't get an abortion unless we're allowed to emotionally manipulate you, unless we are allowed to fuck with your brain. And oh, by the way, you might have been able to afford those pills in the mail, but if you can't afford healthcare, now you've got to be able to afford a doctor's visit, which you might not be able to afford either. A medicated abortion has become the most common method in the United States of terminating early-term pregnancies up to 10 weeks. According to the New York Times, the Food and Drug Administration permanently approved abortion pills by mail and through telehealth consultation in 2021 during the pandemic. The new law states a manufacturer, supplier, pharmacy, physician, qualified physician, or any other person may not provide an abortion-inducing drug via courier, delivery, or mail service. Lee's signature comes just days after a draft opinion from the U.S. Supreme Court indicating a ruling to overturn Roe v. Wade. The bill additionally reads that all patients receiving abortion pills are required to return for a 2-week follow-up visit with the provider. The original bill would have come with a 20-year prison sentence. Jesus fucking Christ. But has since been amended. One of the line items in the bill also covers informed consent counseling service and abortion pill reversal, a myth that has been widely dismissed as false. Anti-abortion advocates and lawmakers insist that abortion reversal should be offered to any pregnant person seeking a medical abortion. However, offering this procedure is extremely problematic. Studies supporting this procedure are not backed by an institutional review board or ethical review committee, raising concern that the protection of human subjects in these hormonal experiments. I have a question. If legislation is being written in, it's being made to pass, that will cause you to be considered a murderer or anything like that, fucking 20-year prison sentence for having an abortion, which of course that was amended out, but that doesn't matter. All that matters is that it was put to pen once. The minute that it's been put to pen, I have a question. Is there a potential self-defense argument to be made for resorting to drastic measures with stuff like this? I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm not saying I support anything like that. But I'm asking, is there a viable self-defense argument to be made here while politicians are playing God with your body? Just curious. In 2019, Tennessee passed a trigger law bill banning all abortions in the state 30 days after the Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade. Including Tennessee, there are 13 states across the nation that have signaled their readiness to ban abortions in the exact same way. This is all the fallout of just an opinion popping out, by the way. To them, contraceptives are abortifacients. Said someone should have aborted this guy. Yeah, no, I feel like every politician that writes shit like that into law is automatically one of the best arguments for abortion that we have. Easily. So I don't know what any of this has to do with God, to be honest. The idea that somebody can exercise an immeasurable amount of control over your body, that would be a version of playing God. It's somebody playing God with your body. Nobody's removing your UDI until you fucking say so. That's another thing we're going to have to talk about in another video. there's apparently some people, some states that are trying to ban UDIs or IUDs. Hate the fact that birth control is called that. It's used for way more than just anti-baby pills. So you mean, that's fair enough. That's a bunch of different things that are happening disparately with this conversation now that Roe looks like it may be overturned. We don't know. The final ruling may be different. But as of right now, as of the draft, states are getting ready to go ahead and exercise their rights over women's bodies. So my question becomes, if states do that, what rights do you have as a citizen over them? As always, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I am concerned, to say the least, about what's going on with all of this. But if you want to support my channel and what I do, there's ways to do it in the description, Patreon, all that. I'm gonna hop out. As always, everybody, insert ended video tagline here.